Hey guys, welcome to the May 8th version of Cosmic Shrews radio podcast. We haven't had one for a while, but we've been testing out the first one from 2 weeks ago. It's been quite successful, so we are now continuing, hopefully going to be doing a daily news podcast with our top stories on all our sites, including CosmicShrews.com, heavymetalmusic.biz, and punk.bz. We got so much news today. We've decided to split up into two separate podcasts for today. Anyways, these are more of the top stories on the metal side. First of all, we've got Matt Sorum, the current drummer of Velvet Revolver, who is speaking at a school a few days ago. He left quite an impression on the school. It was somewhere in California, and he made such an impression on the kids that one of them said, I never knew really that much about him before. It was awesome that he found time to come back and talk to us. That's quite a bit, and he's obviously inspired a lot of kids to get into live music and not needing to hang out and play on their Guitar Hero. Next up, we got another Guns N' Roses, Velvet Revolver related story. I mean, they are popular, so why don't we get into that one as well? Now, currently, as we all know, that Scott Weiland has left Velvet Revolver. He came back, left his true opinions of Guns N' Roses and the Velvet Revolver split, and this is what he had to say in an interview with Rolling Stone. Basically, the question was, did you ever get a call from Dean at a time when things were really falling apart with Velvet Revolver? And that is referring back to Stone Temple Pilots. And this was his response to that question. No, things at the time were working quite well with Velvet Revolver, and I didn't want to mention it to them until there was a plan and a couple of gigs that were actually booked. Slash and I were usually the ones who talked to each other first about things. Then we go to the rest of the guys, and unfortunately, because of certain people's egos, it got into a situation where there was a lot of baggage. I had a lot of baggage walking into my situation. I was in a band where at the end it was pretty much 3 against 1, and so I'm pretty sure that it felt that way to Axl of obviously Guns N' Roses. I have to say this, I'm not saying this now because of my situation I went through, but I heard a lot of great Guns N' Roses stories you guys in the press will never hear. Everyone has made Axl out to be this horrendously crazy person, this bad guy, and I don't know him very well at all. He and I, for whatever reason, got almost tricked into this little media spot for a moment because one of our band members happened to run into him and said he had something. So my point being that having been in a band with Velvet Revolver now for 5.5 years, I'm not quite so sure that it was Axl's fault. It's like, why does it always have to be the lead singer? Matt Sorum, in front of my face, he was the sweetest guy in the world. But there were times, out of the blue, the guy just randomly hated me. We all carried our own baggage in that band. In a sense, that's why people were intrigued, especially for the first couple of years, because they were kind of waiting on the train wreck to happen. They just thought it would happen a lot sooner, and that was an entire interview, or part of the interview, with Rolling Stone. Also, more Guns N' Roses related. Scott Weiland also did say that Guns N' Roses almost reunited. This is what he had to say. It almost happened. The pens were ready to sign. With the greatest hits, there was a possibility that there was too much stuff being said. I think they should get Guns N' Roses back together. To tell you the truth, I think that would be the greatest thing that they could do. That's what he told Classic Rock. I think the world would be very happy if they could stop talking trash about Axl at the press. I would love to see that happen as a Guns N' Roses fan. And the latest Guns N' Roses news that we got is the album should be coming out possibly in September. The label Geffen does have the masters for the album, so this is looking like to be a pretty pretty solid rumor for the fall of a release of Chinese Democracy. Another big album that we got on the news is Metallica's new album. Lars Ulrich called into LA's K-Rock during the Kevin and Bean show. He had confirmed that Metallica is headlining the Weenie Roast. Funny enough how Metallica are doing a festival called the Weenie Roast. This is what he had to say about the new album that's coming out. Knock on wood, this week should be our last week in the studio. Then we're going to come and hang with you guys next week and see some friends in Tucson also next weekend. Then we're off to Europe and start basically playing outdoor festival shows in Europe as part of our annual summer vacation in Europe. Then the record should come out in September. Well, he also said that it could be out in October, but this is what he had to say nonetheless. We're planning on putting this baby out at some point in September. Like I said, unless something drastic happens, what they call in the music business an act of God. Also, he talked about the new website for missionmetallica.com. Yeah, it rolls out next Monday, May 12th. It's basically the whole kind of get a free CD, get a free DVD with the album, and watch the making of the album and all that type of stuff. We thought instead of doing the usual DVDs and all that, why don't we just do it on the internet and people can kind of tune in every day and watch clips, contests, get updates for what's going on with the record, and kind of watch the last couple of months of song titles, album titles, final mixes, some broadcasts from the studio in Europe. So it's kind of a little bit of a countdown type of thing. It should be fun. And this is what he had to say about what fans can expect on the new material. I mean, obviously, you'll probably hear about it 5 minutes after we finish playing it. Thanks to the internet, which we appreciate, I would say that based on the rehearsals in the last week, we're obviously playing a bunch of new songs, and at some point, very soon, we're going to start playing some new stuff live. Whether that's going to happen in Irvine in a couple of weeks or not, we haven't quite figured that one out yet. But it'll be pretty soon. Trust me. Well, there you go. That concludes our May 8th version of the Cossack Shrews podcast, part 1 for the Metal Dudes. And tune in, hopefully tomorrow will be a May 9th one. Continue downloading through iTunes, Yahoo, and wherever else you get this podcast. Later.